She asked him 4 times. The first 3 times, soldiers were already waiting in the room. He saw them. He knew exactly what she was doing. He knew she was trying to destroy him. And on the 4th time, he told her everything. The question is not how Delilah betrayed Samson. Everyone knows that part. The real question, the one that has troubled scholars, theologians, and psychologists for thousands of years, is why the strongest man who ever lived chose to let her. The story begins before Samson takes his first breath. In the book of Judges, chapter 13, an angel appears to a woman who cannot have children. The message is extraordinary. You will have a son, but this son will not be an ordinary child. Before he is born, he is already set apart, consecrated, dedicated to God. The angel gives 3 instructions: no wine, no contact with the dead, and the hair on his head must never be cut. These were the terms of a Nazirite vow, an ancient covenant that marked a person as holy, separated, belonging to something greater than themselves. His name is Samson, and in Hebrew that name means of the sun. From the very beginning, everything about this man points upward, and yet, his entire adult life is a slow walk in the opposite direction. Samson grows up on the border. He lives in Zorah, a small Israelite village sitting at the edge of Philistine-controlled territory. The Philistines are the dominant power in the region. They control the coast, they control the trade routes, and they control Israel. Samson is supposed to begin the deliverance of his people. That is what the angel said. But when we first see the adult Samson in Judges 14, he is not organizing resistance. He is not rallying his tribe. He is walking to the nearest Philistine city to ask for a woman he has just seen. His parents are alarmed. "Is there no Israelite woman?" they ask. Samson's answer tells us everything. "She is the one I want." What follows is a pattern, a foreign wife who turns on him, a riddle that becomes a trap. Foxes set loose in Philistine fields, a jawbone turned into a weapon, 30 men killed, a city gate carried on his shoulders. The man is extraordinary, but every act of power in Samson's life is driven by personal grievance, not national purpose. He is God's chosen deliverer, fighting private battles. Then comes the Valley of Sorek. Then comes Delilah. To understand what happens in that valley, we need to understand the world Samson lived in. This is approximately 1100 BCE. Canaan is a land under pressure. The Philistines, who the Egyptian records of Pharaoh Ramesses III identify as the Peliset, have established 5 powerful city-states along the coast: Gaza, Ashkelon, Ashdod, Ekron, Gath. These are not villages. They are organized, militarized, and politically sophisticated. The Israelites, by contrast, have no standing army. The tribes are loosely connected. The judges, men like Samson, are not generals. They are charismatic individuals, fighting alone. The Sorek Valley is where these 2 worlds collide. Samson's birthplace and burial site both sit in this narrow geographic corridor. It is a border zone, a fault line between 2 peoples who are enemies on paper and neighbors in practice. And archaeology has confirmed this world is real. In 1972, excavations at a site called Tel Kassil, near what is now Tel Aviv, uncovered a Philistine temple. Inside, archaeologists found something remarkable: a main hall supported by 2 wooden pillars mounted on round stone bases. The pillars stood approximately 2 meters apart, close enough for a man to reach both with outstretched arms. The architectural conclusion was clear. If those central pillars were removed, the roof would collapse. The Bible described this exact structure. The ground confirmed it. A second 2-pillar Philistine temple was later found at Tel Es Safi, identified as Ancient Gath. And in the Sorek Valley itself, excavations at Tel Batash, the biblical city of Timnah, where Samson sought his first wife, revealed layers of Philistine occupation, pottery, and cultural remains. The world of Samson has been excavated from the ground. It is not legend, it is history. Now we arrive at the scene that changes everything. In Judges 16, Samson falls in love with a woman named Delilah in the valley of Sorek. The Philistine lords approach her with an offer. Find the source of his strength. Each lord will pay her 1,100 pieces of silver. This is not a romantic betrayal. This is a state-sponsored intelligence operation. Delilah is an operative, and she is very good at her job. She asks Samson the question, "Tell me the secret of your great strength." He lies. He says 7 fresh bowstrings will hold him. She ties him. She calls the soldiers hiding in the next room. He breaks free. She asks again. He lies again. New ropes this time. Soldiers again. He breaks free again. She asks a third time. He invents another answer. She weaves his hair into a loom. Soldiers again. He pulls the whole loom from the wall. 3 times, 3 traps, 3 escapes. He sees the soldiers every single time. And yet he stays. And yet he tells her. On the 4th ask, he confesses everything. Why? Some scholars read this as simple weakness of character. He loved her, and love made him foolish. Others suggest the text carries a deeper theological message, that Samson's true enemy was never the Philistines. It was his own gradual drift from the covenant he was born into. One interpretation, supported by a careful reading of the entire Samson cycle, argues that by the time Delilah asks the 4th time, the secret is almost meaningless. Think about what Samson has already done. He touched a dead lion and ate honey from its carcass, a clear violation of the Nazirite prohibition against contact with the dead. He attended a wedding feast where wine was almost certainly present. He has moved repeatedly between the sacred world he was born into and the Philistine world that fascinates him. The hair was the last thing left, and he gave it away. The most devastating verse in the entire story is not about Delilah's scissors. It is Judges 16, verse 20. After his hair is cut, Samson wakes up and says he will shake himself free as before. And the text says quietly, "He did not know that the Lord had departed from him." He did not know. The departure was so gradual, so silent, that Samson never felt it happening. Psychologists who study human behavior have a term for what kept Samson in that house. Intermittent reinforcement. It works like this. When a relationship mixes unpredictable pain with genuine warmth, pressing, then pulling back, hurting, then comforting, the human mind does not simply walk away. It becomes attached, more attached in fact than it would be to a consistently good relationship. The uncertainty creates a cycle that is very hard to break. Delilah pressed him. He resisted. She softened. He stayed. She pressed again. This cycle, repeated enough times, can override even obvious warning signs. There is also something researchers call optimism bias, our tendency to believe that bad outcomes will not happen to us even when the evidence says they will. Samson had escaped 3 times. Each escape told his mind, "I am stronger, I am smarter, I cannot be caught." 3 survivals did not make him careful, they made him careless. And beneath all of this, his isolation. Every other judge in the book of Judges builds alliances, gathers armies, works within community. Samson works entirely alone. He has no counsel, no brotherhood, no accountability. When Delilah becomes the one person who is consistently present in his life, she also becomes the one person with unlimited access to his inner world. This does not make Samson a broken person beyond recognition. It makes him a human being. The patterns visible in his story are recognizable across thousands of years because they are not ancient, they are ours. Samson dies in the temple of Dagon. He prays one last prayer, "Remember me, God, and strengthen me just once more." And he pushes the pillars apart. The roof falls. He kills more Philistines in his death than he did in his entire life. And then, in the New Testament book of Hebrews, chapter 11, the great list of faithful men and women, the name Samson appears, not despite his failures. Alongside them was his final prayer answered. because he had earned it, or because grace does not calculate what has already been spent. The text does not explain, and perhaps that silence is the answer, because the story of the strongest man who ever lived is not really about strength at all. It is about what we do with the thing we were made to protect, and what happens when we slowly, quietly give it away. If this kind of investigation speaks to you, faith and history and the depths of human nature meeting in the same ancient story, then this channel exists for you. Like this video if it made you think. Subscribe so you don't miss what we uncover next. The Bible is older than any of our questions, but the questions are worth asking.